I want to tell you a story. Cut to me.
Alone in my Atlanta apartment, having moved across the country a couple years prior.
Lonely. I'm very extroverted, so I get lonely real quick, right? I get lonely real quick. It's a real problem of mine, and it's something that I don't talk about with very many people. So I'm alone, and I'm thinking to myself, I want to go on dates. I need a girlfriend real bad because I am very alone and very single, and I think that a girlfriend is going to solve my problems. Already fraught with fundamental flaws, right? Because if you have problems with being alone, if you have any problem, and then you bring that problem into a relationship with the idea that that relationship is going to magically solve that problem, it's not going to work how you think it's going to work. But anyway, cool. How do I get a girlfriend? I have this belief. Every person on this planet has a set of unique experiences, that they have a unique set of capabilities and influences. And your job in our capitalist system, the way that you should live your life is by finding the ways that you can uniquely navigate yourself through the world and apply your unique outlook and experiences and skill set to that thing, right? I think that's a cool way to live. I went to school for digital marketing. I worked at some marketing agencies. It's a part of my approach when I approach shit like that, right? So you've got me, lonely, thinking that a girlfriend's going to solve all my problems, plus a background in digital marketing and a love for podcasts as well. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to apply these skills to my online dating profile. For years, I basically have done online dating, and I've had some success, I feel conflicted about online dating in general because I think it's something like half of all marriages right now start with online dating. But at the same time, I also hate Match Group, and I hate the companies that own these platforms because what they do is they exploit loneliness, right? These people exploit your loneliness so that you can pay to meet a companion. I think that they've injected themselves into human relationships in a way that's really fucking fucked up. And so in an effort to solve my loneliness problem and to apply my unique take on the world and my unique experiences, I think at that time I thought about this as fighting Match Group, right? Fighting these apps, right? Here, I'm going to empower myself with data and science and feedback. I had also asked my friends, I'd asked female friends or just friends in general, I said, which photos should I put in my online dating profile? And what I noticed is that everybody has their own sense of tribal wisdom. I think that you should have one with a dog. Well, actually, I think it's contrived to have one with a dog, and you shouldn't have the one with the dog because there's this fucking analysis of here's the strategy that you should employ to do this. And then other people have, actually, here's a meta strategy to counter that strategy because I'm so used to that strategy that the meta has shifted. And what you get is you get a bunch of fucking tribal wisdom and a bunch of differentiating opinions, and you get a fucking mess, right? You get a fucking mess. If you try to listen to hundreds of people and you ask them for advice, you get 100 different opinions. And some of them kind of move in the same direction, but a lot of the opinions are just fucking fragmented. Well, this is fake. This is not fake. So anyway, I had done this for years. I had asked my female friends, I had asked all of my friends to take a look at my profile because, I was so lonely, and the drive to meet somebody was so powerful that it's what? Fucking take a look. I know it's embarrassing, but what do you think? Help me with this. And they would fucking tell me all of these differentiating opinions. And I didn't know who to trust. And so I'm like, cool. How would I approach this in my job? How would I approach this in my work? How would a data scientist approach this? I was listening to an episode, I think of Planet Money, and they talk about, or no, it might be Freakonomics. I don't fucking know. I was listening to this thing about pairwise match surveys. Basically, the way to think about this is it's a bracket. It's just a simple NFL bracket, or a fucking basketball team, whatever. I don't do sports, guys. But basically, it's a bracket. And then the winner of the bracket moves on to the next thing. Well, basically, you can apply this to surveys. And so I listened to that podcast episode and that bracket idea, that pairwise match survey, and I decided to create one for myself to help me create my own online dating profile backed by data. I bought a program. The first thing is I bought a program online. I've researched platforms to go and find a pairwise match platform that would do these types of surveys in the exact way that I wanted to. They had a monthly subscription. It was $50 a month. And so I paid $50 to have a month of this platform. I upload 50 photos of myself to the platform. Now the problem becomes, how do I get survey responses? Because I guess I can ask people one-to-one, hey, I know this is weird, but can you take this survey so that I can apply that survey, so that I can, on some level, I think that we all love, there's an ego-driven thing where when somebody's like, hey, I want your opinion. Can you give me your opinion on something? People love that. And it was funny because the women in my life loved this. They loved it. I got so many women to be like, yeah, okay. I think that there's something that really appeals to a woman's ego when it's discern what qualities you want in a companion. I think everybody loves that question. So I asked some of my female friends this, and they did that. And then I'm like, fuck, if I'm a real real data scientist. Like, this is not reliable information. This information is not reliable because it's so small scale. So in order to increase the numbers in my data set, I'm like, fuck, okay, what options do I have? I guess I could pay for data, but at that point, I was very broke. And even the $50 that I spent on the thing already felt embarrassing and not good. So I didn't do that, and instead I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to ask my friends, and you know what? The shame and humiliation from posting on my social media profiles to ask people to fill out this fucking survey, it pales into comparison of my goal, right? I think there's a lot of like weird aggro energy that I have about chasing and pursuing goals. I want to be this person that has drive, and I want people to view me as this person that has drive. And so where some people might view that as that's insecure and pathetic, I viewed it at that time as, well, you know what? Nothing's going to stop me in the pursuit of my goal. And that is a noble vision, right? So I did. I posted to all my social media profiles. I'm like, hey, fill out this survey, all right? Go ahead and fill out this survey, and you can rank the photos of me in whatever order that you think. And it was very simple, right? Choose your favorite photo. Very direct, very simple, easy question to answer. I think I got like 90 responses or something. I didn't just post the link to the survey because I wanted high-quality data, right? So I posted an ask, and it's like, hey, respond to this story, and then if you want to take the survey, I will send you the link. I specifically wanted people in my target market, and not target market like looks-wise or personality-wise, but target market women in the ages of like 22 to like 30, right? That's kind of where I was looking to date because I was like 26 or 27 at the time, right? So 22 to 30, and I didn't want to discern for type of personality or whatever because it's just like if I could make a profile that appealed to that demographic overall, then that would be all I would need to do. So anyway, I get like 80, I think, I don't know, maybe it was 50. I don't know the exact number. I'll probably put the actual survey results in here. But basically, I get this feedback, right? And it was funny because there was a couple things I noticed. One, there's like apparently with the survey platform that I used, it just keeps going forever. It assigns a confidence score to your results the longer the person stays in the survey. And I checked a box or some setting that keeps the survey going forever. So like some of my female friends that I'd sent this to, they're like, hey, I don't want my progress to be lost, but like I've done this for like an hour. This is a fucking nightmare. Can you, is it okay? Like, can I stop? And it's like, of course you could stop. I felt really bad. So that happened a couple times. That happened like twice. And then I started like warning people, hey, this goes forever. So like fucking you should know that this is a nightmare. Don't do this forever. But those survey responses were very, very high confidence, and they were weighted more heavily than some of the other less confident scores. So they were very nice responses. Anyway, the second thing that I noticed is that tribal wisdom, right? That idea that like, oh, well, I know what you should do, and I have this fucking methodology of what I go after in a profile, right? Everybody had that, and they would give that to me. So I do this, and I get the survey results, right? And I get a rank ordered list of photos of myself that 90 women between the ages of 22 and 30 decided were the most attractive, most swipeable photos of me for a dating app. And then I go ahead and I upload that to my dating profile. Cool. The results. Here is what happened. The results weren't great. They just weren't. They weren't great. I was disappointed in the results. And I wasn't sure why. I think that I got marginal results for a few multifaceted reasons. There's a fucking slug in my fucking... Ah! What the fuck? Oh, God, it was a salamander. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, he was wiggling. That wasn't great. There's a wiggly-ass salamander in my fucking shoe. Woo! Why weren't the results great? Well, the first reason was because I intuitively kind of knew the answers. I knew what the survey results were going to be before I made the survey. I had an intuitive understanding that, like, were there differences in how I would rank the photos? Probably, but not that many, right? There were not that many differences. And many of those photos that survey said to put in my dating profile were already photos that were in my dating profile. I got the answers 80% right without even doing any of this. So that's a flaw in the fucking experiment. When I initially did it, when I initially put it together, I think I felt a boost in confidence. You know, the idea that for about a week or two, I was swiping with the knowledge that, you know what, my profile has been built in a cave with a box of scraps. Or actually the opposite. You know, it was engineered in a lab to be the most fucking, this is the most detailed and goodest profile possible. I made them fucking, with data and science, I applied who I am as a person and all of my expertise and my college degree to my online dating profile. And I did it, right? So for like a week, I had this pride and confidence that I made this thing to impress all these fucking people, and I did it so good, and I'm so fucking smart. And for about a week, I felt really good. And so whatever, I'm swiping. I barely noticed a difference. And then, so what I did then was I'm like, cool, what's wrong? What's wrong with it? It's the prompts. The prompts are the fucking difference. Or the prompts are what the problem is. So I say, how am I going to solve this prompt issue? Because I can't just like take the normal approach. I'm special. I'm a special little boy. So I have to have a cool, creative, problem-solving solution to the fucking prompt problem. So I go ahead and I take all of the prompts from Hinge. I find them on a website. There's a blog post that says, here's all the current Hinge prompts. I say, great. I spent like 3 hours like writing prompts, like the question, and then writing prompts. Name your best first date idea, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to write 5 different answers to this. Let's go on bird scooters and grab drinks. Oh, then I'll write a different one. Oh, let's go bird scooters, and instead of drinks, let's go to the movies. Or, well, no, maybe she doesn't want to go to a movie. Maybe you can't talk during a movie. Maybe she's extrovert and she wants to have a conversation. Let's go on bird scooters and then hit the gym or go to the park. And look, those are all things that I like to do. I love going to the park. I love hitting the gym, and I love bird scooters. Bird scooters can't leave there because I don't even think they make bird scooters anymore. Fucking Limes, I don't care. That is the most fun that you could possibly have. Whoever invented the fucking Lime scooter, great job. I know that they went under, or Bird went under. Lime's probably not doing great either. I love fucking scooters. Anyway, whatever. I do all this shit. I write fucking like 100 prompts. And then I go back to the survey software because I already paid for a month of it. Actually, at this point, I think they charged me for another month. I'm fucking broke. I can barely afford groceries, and I'm fucking spending money on this dumbass fucking project. I write 100 prompts, and I fucking upload them to the survey thing. This is like a program for like scientists, right? It's for like a program for like actual data scientists or like market research people, right? And I'm using it for this stupid purpose. And so I upload all this fucking shit. I do the same thing, right? I take to social media. Hey, go fill out this survey. At this point, I had connections. I had group chats full of friends that had taken the previous survey, female friends who I knew, gave me good results on the last one. So, hey, take this one. I do the whole thing again, and I come up with these like top 3 things. Then I go and I redo the profile, right? I put those in there and whatever the fuck. Again, I go through the same fucking thing. It's like for a week, I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking smart. And then I notice very, very little difference. And at that point, I'm like, fuck. Because I had a choice at that point. I could keep going. I could keep optimizing, maybe this round of photos is wrong. Maybe I need to take new photos and put them in there. Or maybe I need a voice prompt. Maybe there was a problem with my methodology and I should break it down into different types of photos. Maybe I should have asked which would go best for the top main photo in my dating profile. I could have gone deeper. But at that point, there's a certain level of conviction where you take a step back. I go, is this crazy? Am I fucking crazy? And you kind of gaslight yourself, or at least I do that in my life. There's a book I read when I was just graduating college called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And in that book, he has a quote that's something like, just because you can use your mind to solve a crossword puzzle or to invent a nuclear bomb, just because you're capable of doing that, doesn't mean that you should be doing that. Our brain has a hunger to solve problems. We are all monkeys that fucking, like, through natural evolution and fucking Darwinism learned to identify problems and then solve them. We want to solve problems and feel safety and security. And in our modern world, those mechanisms are sometimes very dangerous because you can end up investing tons of time and resources and energy into solving a problem that shouldn't be solved in the way that you're trying to solve it. There are multiple ways to skin a cat. I don't ever skin cats. I don't really want to. I like cats. Maybe we should use a different metaphor. But basically, like, for this cat, I took a very data-driven approach. I took a very cold approach because I think somewhere internally I'm like, I'm a very emotional driven person. This is what I always tell myself, is that my Achilles heel is that, like, I need to pay more attention to data and systems and planning because I know that I don't want to fall into this. I don't want to just be this unthinking creature that just experiences life and doesn't critically analyze it or reflect on it. I need to approach everything that I do with a plan and a strategy and fucking numbers, right? And I think that is a result of fear and insecurity. And so I approach this project with the idea of seeking knowledge. What is the best way to meet these girls online and attract them all and make sure that, they like me and say just the right things to kind of get them onto a date with me, and also how to present myself and the qualities of myself in the best possible way so that every person who looks at my thing, I can be this fucking blob with all the edges filed off, so that like I'm just this nice little cartoon that the majority has voted on. And you sit there at the end of that process, or I sat there at the end of that process, and I felt such a deep feeling of shame. A deep feeling of shame and insecurity that like I had to fucking design my dating profile by committee in order to date somebody. And at the end of all of it, it didn't even fucking work. And it goes deeper. It goes, like, I love to think, the way I'm positioning this is that, like, that's what I learned, and then I never kept going down the rabbit hole. That is not what happened. That's not what happened at all. At that point, I did a couple things. The first thing I did was, like, I'm going to start a show. I'm going to do a show, because that's the other fucking thing I do all the time, is I'm going to do a show. I'm going to make a project. I'm going to do this thing, right, so that people can watch me do whatever the fuck. And I don't just focus on one good thing. I focus on, this could be huge. Those fucking words are the bane of my existence. This could be huge. That is my fucking Achilles heel, is this could be huge. And so this could be huge it, and I say, I'm going to start a fucking show where I help men do what I did for me in my dating profile, because I can increase the number of fucking matches you get by 5% if you do these fucking stupid things, and that's a cope. That's a cope for insecurity and for embarrassment and shame. I'm going to do this fucking show. There's another Bo Burnham song at the end of Make Happy. There's a line in that song that haunts me, as he attempts to give you something that he cannot give himself. I also was in an environment, I was in a point in my life where the people around me I would share these insecurities with them. And I don't feel comfortable promising people help and advice when I can't do this for myself. I can't fucking enact the change that I want to see in my world, and now I'm going to give advice to other people on how to do it for them. I'm going to say, hey, change your behavior to do this more ideal outcome, even though I wasn't able to change my behavior in a way that aligns with what I wanted and enact the change and have the things that I wanted to see. There was something deeply, deeply hypocritical to me about all of that. And when I would vocalize these things, I would be told to ignore those feelings. It was written off as imposter syndrome. The sentiment that really stuck with me is that, like, it matters a lot more what the optics are. Like, if people think that you're a womanizer and people think that you're killing it, that is the foundation that really, truly matters. The truth doesn't matter. There's a sales saying, right? Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. And for some people, I think that is how they can operate. Some people can use that and make a lot of money and have a lot of success. But on some level, I don't think that works for me. I think that I need something deeper and more authentic than that. There's this other idea in philosophy that, like, you don't really know what your values are until you're in a position where you have to enact them. It's very, very hard to know how you're going to act in a situation until you're in that situation. And when faced with the decision of optics versus truth, I realized, man, truth is a value of mine. So then, down the rabbit hole we go. In a last-ditch effort to try to align my external outcomes with the things that I was preaching about behavior change and critically looking at data and whatever, I'm like, cool, I've tried kind of two things now. I'm going to look for external support and external resources to help me solve this problem. So I went and I found a photographer in the area who specialized in doing photo shoots for online dating. And I paid the photographer a lot of money, right? And this guy specializes in fucking helping men make online dating profiles. I paid like $700. And at that point in my life, it was okay to do that. I wasn't charging it. So I pay this man $700 for photos. And he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He did an incredible job. And now I have these fucking incredible photos. Blew all the other photos out of the water, right? And I go ahead and I make the profile again. And I don't A/B test them this time, and I don't use the pairwise match survey analysis because it's like, you know what, that took a lot of time. It was kind of embarrassing. I felt a little bit of shame about that. Let's instead just use these profile pictures. What I learned from the first time around was like, you know what, I had my artistic vision, knew which photos, intuitively I knew which ones were the best ones. So if I go and I hire somebody with a different and better refined eye for photography and trust him to create these images and trust him to deliver the best ones to me, that's what I should do. And so I go ahead and I make the profile. And it's so funny because, again, the same fucking thing happened again. The same thing happened again. For like a week, I felt this surge of confidence. I'm out here distinctly different than the competition. I'm setting myself apart. And so, again, for that same week, I had that surge of confidence. And then I realized that, like, my results are continuing to not get better. And at that point, another wave of shame comes over me. And I'm like, fuck. What the fuck? Maybe, you know, we naturally compare ourselves to other people nowadays. You look at social media, it's impossible not to. My fucking phone fills me with notifications all the time of fucking, look at this person. You know, here's this person just added to their story. You got a fucking DM. Oh, this person just fucking posted. Look, they're in fucking Cabo. They're in Mexico. This person's just getting married. Wow, oh my God, it's fucking great. Right? We naturally compare ourselves to other people. It's like, and that's why these fucking social media companies have made so much fucking money, right? It's because we love it. We love it. We hunger for it. We love the ego boost of like, wow, here's me and here's how I compare. We don't talk about this part, but here's how I compare internally in my brain to the other people in my life. And we fucking love that. And I think that there's this perception out there that everyone on these fucking apps is killing it, right? They're getting hundreds of matches all the time. They're meeting their wives. They're meeting their girlfriends. They're getting match after match after match. And they can choose, or they can be a womanizer if that's what you exalt and that's what you're after. You know, like you can go and you can sleep with whoever you want. And you can constantly sleep with all these people all the time. And so that's kind of what I think that a lot of us think is happening out there, right? Or and we don't think that cognitively because like once we talk it out loud, obviously that's probably not what happens. But we think subconsciously, well, fuck, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is what happens. Maybe, just maybe, there's something wrong with me, right? Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe my thoughts, feelings, and maybe my habits, my actions, the way I socialize, the way I look, how tall I am, my job, my income, how funny I am, my ability to have a conversation. Maybe I send too long messages. Maybe my messages are too long. We think that because there's no other alternative, we end up fucking questioning, maybe I'm the problem. And so then I think about, why does that happen? You know, when I talk to my parents about this, like they don't have those thoughts. And maybe it's because they don't remember. Maybe they all had these thoughts back in the fucking 80s and whatever the fuck. You know, I think it's a modern problem. And I start to think to myself, why? Why do modern people deal with this? And then I think about the rise of dating apps. And 50% of all marriages start on dating apps and fucking dating apps. How are you gonna meet somebody? Well, I use the apps, or I don't touch the apps, and I blah, blah, blah. These fucking companies make money because you feel lonely, and you have the perception that if you pay them money, they can hook you up with the love of your life. It's predatory. It's fucked up, and I fucking hate them. Also, this is the part where I might lose some of you guys. And that's okay. But sometimes when I talk to women about a man's experience on a dating app, and I talk about how, you know, you very rarely get matches, and you have to kind of play your cards just right. And it's kind of like a job interview, and like courtship for men on online dating apps is very, very difficult. A lot of them dismiss those feelings and invalidate those feelings. For some women, and other women, this is not true, but for some women, they have very different experiences on these dating apps, right? These dating apps court women because women attract men to these apps. And I don't have data on this, but I assume, because I paid for dating apps for years, right? We talk about the money that I invested in the photographer and in the survey stuff. I also paid for the apps, right? Because like it's digital marketing all the way down, right? It's top line impressions, it's conversion rate through your profile, and then it's a close rate. Can you bring the person on a date? You have to identify like what their interests are, if they have availability, and then you have to appointment set, and then you have to work logistics to get everybody to the fucking date. It is digital marketing and sales, and the entire process is a robotic, curated process. The whole fucking thing removes a very large human element. Here's the other problem that I have is that when you eventually do meet somebody on a dating app, the chances that you have tons and tons and tons of things in common with that person are probably not very high, because when you meet somebody in any other way, via a community organization, via a club, via family members, you probably have a similar social network already, meaning that you have tons of things in common. If you meet them at a social activity that you both enjoy, there are probably dozens of other things that you have in common, whereas if you meet somebody on an app, all that you have in common is that you both were lonely and you were using the app. And if you have any other stuff in common, that's a coincidence. So anyway, when I talk to women about this, they don't have much empathy or compassion for how fucking awful this is. And I get it, right? Like, boohoo, walk it off. It's okay. Fucking suck it up. And also, some women are very compassionate. They understand these things, and they struggle on these apps too. There's a video that I saw that I think did the best job of explaining the statistics of a dating app. It was something like, for every single app out there are twice as many men on these apps than there are women. Also, women are more selective on these apps. This is not my opinion. This is data that like was released by Match.com, I think. Basically, like, women are a lot more selective, and they swipe right I don't know, like 30% of the time, I think. I will give you the real numbers, but they swipe right like 30% of the time, and men swipe right at least like 60% of the time or something. At the end of the video, he breaks down, if you just take those two things into account, the population distribution on there and the preferences, like the swipe preferences of each person, then you automatically get that distribution where women have tons of matches and men have very few. So that's the first thing. The second thing is like, why would you assume that this app that is incentivized to make as much money as possible, because they are fucking tanking right now, why would this app be incentivized to be honest? It's a fucking black box. It's intentionally a black box. There's no incentive for them to be honest, right? They have an algorithm that is meant to trigger your dopamine receptors. I bet they have tons of data when people feel the loneliest, so that you can fucking hit them with a notification that really hits them right when they're feeling insecure or lonely. And they have a lot of fucking data from your phone and from their giant, massive user base that they have to know when the notifications can go out, so that you can fucking make sure you're using the app or paying for the app. I don't know, man. There's a lot of fucking giant tech corporations in California that are fucking really good at understanding your behavior from a data science perspective. Here's the moral of the story. I don't have a solution. I still don't have a girlfriend. I don't. And it'd be really cool if I had the perfect solution, but I don't. I think the solution is try to live as authentically as you can. That's really what I think the solution is. You know, some people talk about like go meet people in person. I think that's a clunky solution. I think that ignores the modern world that we live in. I think that ignores the network effects of social media, which is fucking really important and like can open you up to like black swan events that are good events in your life that happen randomly, right? Like you don't know that there could be someone who lives in your area that like would really, really be into you and who really drives with your values that you externally communicate on your social media platforms, right? So I guess if I had to fucking pull what I think, after all of these experiences, if I had to pull out of my ass what I think the right direction is, I think what it is one, understand that these apps are they are out to make money. They don't care about you. If you feel lonely, they're making money off of you. And I think a really good idea is to delete them off of your phone, because if they're starting to make you question your own self-worth and your own value, and they're starting to like hijack your loneliness receptors to make as much fucking money as possible, that's fucking awful, right? So delete them. I think that's a good option. You can do whatever the fuck you want, but that might be on the table. I think another option is go try to meet people in person. Go do things that you like, right? Get offline and fucking go in person and fucking meet people in person. But I think when I do look back and I trace back when I have had a lot of success in the past with relationships and with meeting people and with falling in love with people, one thing that I've noticed is that there's a correlation between how frequently I post online, how authentic those posts are, and the type of people that come into my life as a result. And maybe that's just like a me thing, right? That also could be just like a me solution. But yeah, I don't know. This video is probably going to bomb because it's messy. There's no good. Here you go. Religion will solve your problems. Fucking, like this will solve the problem. Take Ozempic. You're going to fucking lose weight. There's no good, clear solution. It's like fucking try to be a good person. Fucking try to live authentically. Try to change your value system and focus on the paradigm in which you view yourself in the world and slowly adjust it over time to be a more authentic and self-driven person instead of one that seeks validation from other people in everything that you do. When you're trying to make anything, feedback is important, but if you exclusively design by committee, there's a word for that, and that word is a hack. You're never going to make progress in your life creatively, at least for me. I shouldn't say for you. I have no idea what your life is going to be. I've noticed that in my life, when I try to design by committee, I cannot make progress. I cannot make something beautiful if I design feedback first. On some level, you've got to use the fucking authenticity and truth in your fucking soul and spit something out. And then, you know what? If you want to fine-tune with feedback, more power to you. But you know what? There's also a school of thought that says, fuck them. Do what you want. Do what you want. And if they don't like it, they'll get the fuck out of the way. I think our world is more complicated than ever. I think that with so many options, with so much, I think the only path forward is to try to live via values and principles, valuing authenticity and valuing human connection and valuing truth. Those are what I believe will improve your life. So that's what I'm trying to do. And that's my new approach. This is the part where I ask for money. Earlier in this video, I talked about noticing a pattern of this could be big, right? Those words haunt me. This could be big. I'm going to make a thing. I'm going to make a show about this. And then I make 3 episodes and then it fucking tanks. Or I make 12 episodes and it tanks. And because I lose commitment, right? My new creative approach is I'm going to make one thing at a time. I'm going to make one thing at a time. I'm going to make the best thing that I possibly can make. That's really scary. It's really scary. I don't know what I'm going to make. I don't know what I'm going to make. Might be about my life. Might be about my thoughts. I might bitch about stuff. I have no idea. It might be funny. I don't really know. But I'm going to make what I want to make. I can guarantee you that. And you know what? I don't want to humiliate anybody along the way. That's another thing that's really important to me, is that I don't want to humiliate anybody other than myself. I might humiliate myself a little bit. Also, I don't want to make any hard and fast commitments. I might humiliate somebody within good reason. I like jokes, man. Jokes are great. I'm starting a Patreon. If you want to support me, I would fucking love you forever, for real. Man, this world's expensive, and bills are there. If you'd be willing to support me, that'd be fucking sick as fuck. I'm probably going to do like a $5 a month option or just like a donate whatever you want. If you want to donate whatever you want, that'd be really, really, really cool. It would allow me to spend less time working a part-time job and more time fucking making videos. And I'm not making any promises. I'm not committing to an upload schedule. I'm not committing to whatever. I'm not going to have a grand plan. I don't have a grand plan. I'm going to make one thing at a time, and then I'm going to go from there and figure it out. And I'm excited about it too. I'm really stoked. I have no idea what's going to come of this. Also, I have to now climb out of this ravine. And that's going to be a little tricky. Because I got a lot of camera gear with me. So, what the fuck?